Hello and welcome back to the East Lake Pet Talk podcast. I'm veterinarian Dr. Karen Fling.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Will McCauley, and welcome back to another episode of the East Lake Pet Talk podcast. We're glad to welcome everybody back from their Easter vacations and Easter holiday. We actually had some Easter magic happen, right?
Yes, we certainly did. We got this great video here that is from one of our friends, Becky Harvey, and she found these precious little Easter bunnies. Well, they aren't really Easter bunnies. They were Easter bunnies because they were found on Easter, but they're actually wild bunnies. And this is something that comes up an awful lot. We hear from people that have found these precious little wild bunnies, and the first instinct when you see these little babies is that they need help. The mother
save them.
We have to save them. And we work with Rogers Wildlife an awful lot, and they're such a great resource for us. But they've actually put in a plea to me for us to address today on the show that if people do find these little wild bunnies, please don't save them.
Right. They don't need saving.
They don't need saving.
Right. So
that's exactly right. And it turns out the mother bunnies are actually really very great at taking care of their babies. And usually what they'll do is kind of tuck them under some mulch or some grass clippings or something to make a neat little cozy bed for them. And they return to the nest typically twice a day to take care of the babies. And then the rest of the time they're out foraging and doing the things that bunnies do.
Doing the things that all wild animals do. It's not just rabbits, it's also baby birds, it's baby squirrels, it's baby possums, things that, you think they may be stranded or lost or need rescuing. Actually, a lot of times the mother is around in the area, is watching over them. She may be hiding from you, or she may be out foraging for food, probably like these bunnies' mother was.
Right. And with the bunnies, I think because they come back a little less often than some of the other critters, you may not readily see them. So just give some time, let the mother do her thing, and don't save the bunnies.
That's right. If you ever see that they're injured or that they've been out on their own for days, then it may be time to step in if need be. But give it time and see. More often than not, that mother will come back.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of something that's coming back.
I know, right? Making a return.
I'll say it's springtime. And in fact, a Chicago report has come out saying that there's actually an uptick in kennel cough cases out there. And so definitely, I think in the spring, all across the country, we traditionally see that. And I think the inclination by the name of the bug is to have people think that, it's something that dogs get in kennels, when actually it turns out that it's the number one most common infectious disease that we see as veterinarians.
Yeah, Bordetella bronchoseptica is the causative agent. It's a bacterium, and even though we do refer to it as kennel cough, it can appear anywhere that one dog makes contact with another dog. So
directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly. It could be at dog parks. It could be at just walking by on the street if they sniff each other and kind of exchange. One coughs on the other. It's very contagious. Very contagious, and it's not just something where they have to be boarded in the same facility for hours on end to catch it. It's pretty ubiquitous among a lot of populations.
Yeah, definitely a social disease to where dogs can transmit it very easily. But even in cases where dogs don't have obvious contact with each other, kennel cough can transmit. And in fact, I had an episode that started with one of my dogs and then went to the other two. And they hadn't been anywhere but my own house, my own backyard during this period. And I have to presume that maybe a stray went down the alley, probably met up with one of my dogs at the fence line and coughed and hacked, and before we knew it, there it was.
Yeah.
So definitely a contagious disease. But the good news is that it is one of the diseases that we can do a lot to prevent or reduce the severity of. Don't you agree?
Definitely. It's always important, as we always say, to get good preventative care. So get those vaccinations. The kennel cough vaccine is actually only good for 6 months, so it has to be boosted twice a year instead of once a year like most of our other vaccines.
Right. And some of the vaccine companies have a 1-year guarantee, but that's just a guarantee to support their vaccine, when in actuality between that 6 and 8 month point coursing to a year, the immunity is declining. So definitely if you have a dog with a social lifestyle or one that likes to get out and about with you, go to restaurants and out on walks even, those are the dogs that really should have those vaccines at least every 6 months.
Yeah, in a lot of places it is required to have your dog vaccinated for that if they go board somewhere or if they're being groomed in some area, or most places a dog park will actually have a sign that says all dogs must be vaccinated, and included in that is kennel cough or Bordetella.
Right, exactly. And speaking of vaccines, it's interesting that in coincidence with this report about the uptick in kennel cough cases, the American Veterinary Medical Association, or the AVMA, has just put out a statement, and the statement is, don't skip vaccines. And there's a great trend, I think, in general to go away from vaccines, and certainly I'm not supportive of over-vaccinating by any means, but what is happening in human medicine, especially where children are concerned, is that with the decrease in some vaccines, like for example measles, we're actually seeing a rise in measles cases, or whooping cough, or some of these other childhood diseases.
A huge resurgence of these diseases that we almost had eradicated, honestly, at least in America, and now they're coming roaring back because we have these isolated populations of people who either don't vaccinate their pets or their children, and then one of them gets sick, they pass it amongst each other, and then you have this huge epidemic of these diseases.
Exactly, and I think most of us would agree, risk to benefit, most of these vaccines, and especially modern vaccines, are typically very safe, and the complication rate is ultra low.
Very.
But definitely bring your pet's doctor into that conversation. I know we like to discuss risk factors, the likelihood of what you're going to be exposed to, because certainly even regionally, the disease incidence from one area to the next can be very, very different.
Right. I like that you said that bring your vet in on the conversation. All vets love to educate and talk to you about this and kind of answer any questions you have or worries you have on vaccinating your pets.
Right. We're teachers
That's
at the end of the day.
Always. Yep.
And if you'd like to learn more about some of the vaccine dialogue and controversies going on, you may want to take the opportunity to log into a really great blog that's done by Steve Dale, and it's called Steve Dale's Pet World. And he did a super piece here just recently, and talked with Dr. Michael Paul, who actually has a background setting vaccine guidelines through the AVMA, but he's also been a member of the Companion Animal Parasite Council, and has, a long list of credits behind his name. And he, in combination with Steve Dale, I think wrote up a really lovely piece talking a little bit more about vaccines and just kind of thinking through the whole process and philosophy of immunization. So,
yeah, there's lots of information out there, both good and bad, but we can definitely recommend Mr. Dale's blog. He definitely has the right research behind it, the right ideas, and so if you want to check that out, look him up on his blog.
Right. I've heard him speak at the Blog Pause conference, in fact, and I just have the ultimate respect for him.
Very neat. Very neat.
Very neat. But speaking of other resources, Forbes magazine just came out recently with some more disturbing news.
You wouldn't think this would be in Forbes, but it is.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. And it turns out there are several new cases of leprosy in Florida. And here we are in the state of Texas, also listed as a top state for leprosy. Mississippi and also Louisiana are top states for having this problem. And
we know why that is, too.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately. And that relates back to the armadillos. And armadillos are still regarded as the #1 carrier, apparently.
That's right, they do. They have naturally the existing bacteria. It's Mycobacterium leprae on
yes.
them. So it actually lives on them naturally, doesn't cause the same signs and symptoms as we see on humans, but if you come into contact with one, you have the potential to get leprosy. And to demonstrate how common they are in these areas, I think we have a little video that someone shot.
Yes, this was something that came up in my own backyard not too long ago, right in the heart of Dallas. So
let's take a look at that.
Just stay back from them. Okay, how about that? I was screaming like a girl, wasn't I?
That little booger is fast. I had no idea they were that quick and could jump that high. They're an athletic little creature.
They are, and we kind of looked up a little bit about armadillos after we tangled with that one in our backyard, and it turns out some people call them turtle rabbits because they look like they've got a turtle shell, but then they jump like a rabbit. And the video didn't show, but that thing could jump up, probably close to 3 feet high.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
Saw them springing towards the fence. Yeah, they're quick.
And I know you mentioned you see them on roadsides around here a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I guess, you think that they are slow and can't get away from cars, when in reality they have really bad eyesight, and so they usually don't see the car coming till it's too late, then they get hit. Always important to remember, stay away from armadillos, they do have this communicable disease.
Right, and they may look well, just like you mentioned, and not look sick, but they can still be carrying it. And what I didn't know until I read a little bit more about these armadillos and about leprosy, but actually some of these cases of leprosy can take anywhere from 2 to 10 years before the disease symptoms manifest.
Wow, so before clinical signs come up, you're carrying this for 2 to 10 years.
Yeah, isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, that's really bad. It's really nasty. Well, and armadillos do serve a good purpose. They eat lots of bugs and insects. They actually serve a good purpose here in the United States. But just remember, leave them alone. Let them do their thing.
And risk is ultra low. There are probably only 100 cases typically per year that are seen. But if you are concerned that you may have been exposed, definitely consult your doctor. Or if there are any signs that are neurologic or skin-related symptoms, then you definitely want to see your doctor about that as well, because the symptoms can be skin symptoms where you have thickened, calloused skin, or a loss or a decrease in sensation or feeling, coupled with anything from blindness to much more radical disease symptoms, digits falling off and things like that. But the good news is you can treat it, and sometimes the treatment ranges anywhere from 2 to 6 months of multiple antibiotics together, but generally it's a fully curable disease condition, and there's no need to be banished to a leper colony or anything
not anymore.
like that.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
Yeah, much easier just to avoid, though.
Right, and if you do get leprosy, it doesn't mean that you're spiritually unclean, unclean as was once thought.
So shoo you out to an island like they did in the Bible.
Yes, thank goodness not anymore.
That's right.
So,
well, speaking of skin issues, I know next show we're going to talk about something that we're going to see a lot of in these coming months, and that is allergies. So allergies from parasites and food and the environment. We're going to touch on all these ways to diagnose it, ways to treat it, ways to avoid it.
Right. Good topic, because it's another springtime problem. This is kind of peak season for allergy. And I think in Texas we see allergies all year round, but it's especially challenging in the weeks and months to come.
It's about to really ramp up. Exactly.
Yes, very, very true. But some good news sooner than next week. And that's that I think by next week, Gianna is going to be going to her new home.
One of our favorites.
Yes, Gianna has been with us now right at a year. I think in another couple of days we'll be at that 1 year mark. And because she is a Staffordshire Terrier or a pit bull, she's one that has not been accepted and not had a chance as soon as some of the other babies have that we help. But we're so excited that there's a great new family that's going to be giving her a super chance at life. But she's a lucky dog, and she's had a wonderful foster home with Robin Brown. So we're especially grateful to him.
We love having these dogs up here, but we like it even better when we send them out to their new homes, their forever homes.
Very true. And you wanted to talk a little bit about Carter, didn't you?
I do. So, you know how Gianna had been there for a long time. Carter, Mr. Carter, who is a Chihuahua mix of some sort, has been up at Elpo for almost a year as well. He came to us July 1st of last year. And so we want to really bring him out and show that he is a great pup that needs a good home. Doesn't do as well with other pets, so he'd do really well at a house where it's just him and the owners, but he's very laid back, doesn't need a whole lot of running around or anything like that.
He's an easy keeper.
Very, very. He's a very sweet little dog. He has been successfully treated for heartworms. When he came to us, he was heartworm positive, and we have successfully treated him. He is negative on that. He's updated on all vaccines.
He's neutered. He's microchipped.
Microchipped. He's good to go. So definitely give us a call if you want to take a look at Carter and maybe give him his forever home.
Absolutely. What a great pet of the week. And it's his time, I think. So maybe he's going to be lucky now that Gianna's got a great place to go.
Here's hoping. Give us a call. Also, you can give us a call if you want to leave us a voicemail, ask us some questions, leave a comment. Give us a call at 972-808-6038. Of course, you can always subscribe to our show by clicking on the link right here on YouTube. If you want to send us an email us at podcast@welovepets.net. Of course, you can always find us on iTunes as well. Go search for East Lake Pet Talk Podcast or find the link below.
And it looks like we're about out of time, so we'll look forward to joining up with everybody next week and talk about those allergies.
Here's looking forward to that.
Okay, thanks so much.
Take care.